Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn and Chat. Today, we're going to talk about one of the biggest sporting events in the world, the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This World Cup was special for many reasons. For the first time, three countries hosted the tournament together: the United States, Mexico, and Canada. It was also the biggest World Cup in history. 48 national teams participated in the tournament, and a total of 104 matches were played in 16 host cities. To understand how big this change was, let's compare it with the previous World Cup. In Qatar 2022, only 32 teams participated. In 2026, there were 48. That means 16 more countries had the opportunity to play in the most important football tournament in the world. The format was different too. The 48 teams were divided into 12 groups of 4 teams. After the group stage, the best teams moved to the knockout stage. From that moment, every game became extremely important. Win, and you continue. Lose, and your World Cup is over. For the teams that reached the final, the journey could include 8 matches. That made this World Cup longer and bigger than previous tournaments. Now, let's talk about where everything started. The tournament began on June 11th, 2026, in Mexico City. And here is an interesting fact. The famous stadium in Mexico City became the first stadium in history to host opening matches in 3 different World Cups. It was used in 1970, again in 1986, and now in 2026. That's an incredible part of football history. Mexico played against South Africa in the opening match. The home fans had a great reason to celebrate because Mexico won the game 2-0. But this World Cup was not only happening in Mexico. Canada hosted matches in Toronto and Vancouver. The United States hosted games in many different cities and areas, including Los Angeles, Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, Miami, and New York and New Jersey. This created something very unusual. The distances between some host cities were enormous. Teams, journalists, and football fans sometimes had to travel thousands of kilometers during the competition. Imagine watching a game in Mexico and then traveling to Canada or the United States for another match. It was a very different World Cup experience. There was also a lot of cultural diversity. Fans could experience Mexican football culture, visit huge American cities, and then travel north to Canada. 3 countries, many cities, different cultures, but one sport connecting everyone: football. Now, let's talk about the games. From the first days, we saw some interesting results. Mexico started strongly with its 2-0 victory against South Africa. The United States also had a great start, beating Paraguay 4-1. Germany was even more impressive and won 7-1 against Curacao. Brazil was one of the favorites before the tournament, but its first game was more difficult. Brazil and Morocco finished 1-1. And then there was Spain. Spain would eventually become one of the most important teams in this World Cup. But their tournament started with a surprise. Spain played against Cape Verde, and the game finished 0-0. No goals. For many fans, that was unexpected. But this is one of the beautiful things about the World Cup. Being a favorite does not guarantee an easy victory. Smaller football nations can surprise the biggest teams in the world. And sometimes, one unexpected result can completely change a tournament. Before we finish part 1, let's learn some useful football vocabulary. A host country is a country that organizes the tournament. A national team represents a country. The group stage is the first part of the competition. The knockout stage is the part where losing can eliminate a team from the tournament. A match is another word for a game. And a draw happens when both teams finish with the same score. For example, Spain and Cape Verde had a 0-0 draw. These are useful words that you will hear many times when people talk about football. So, let's quickly review. The 2026 World Cup was hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada. 48 teams participated. 104 matches were played. The tournament started in Mexico City. And from the first games, we saw goals, surprises, and exciting moments. But this was only the beginning. The biggest matches were still to come. In part 2, we will follow the tournament through the knockout rounds. We will see which big teams survived, which teams went home, and how Spain, Argentina, France, and England became the final four teams fighting for the World Cup. Thank you for listening to Learn and Chat. Keep listening, keep learning, and I'll see you in part 2. In part 1, we learned why the 2026 World Cup was so special. 3 countries hosted the tournament: the United States, Mexico, and Canada. 48 national teams participated, and football fans from around the world came together to enjoy this historic event. But after the group stage, everything became more serious. It was time for the knockout stage. From this moment, the idea was simple. Win, and you continue. Lose, and you go home. Every goal became more important. Every mistake could end a team's World Cup dream. The pressure was growing. Spain was becoming one of the most interesting teams in the tournament. Their World Cup had started with a surprising 0-0 draw against Cape Verde. But Spain quickly improved. They defeated Saudi Arabia 4-0 and then beat Uruguay 1-0. Spain was playing with confidence. Their defense was also becoming very difficult to beat. As the tournament continued, Spain faced stronger opponents. In the knockout rounds, they defeated Portugal 1-0. Then came a difficult quarterfinal against Belgium. Spain won that match 2-1 and moved into the semifinals. Spain was now only 2 victories away from becoming world champion. But Spain was not alone. Argentina was also having an important tournament. Argentina arrived in North America as the defending world champion. 4 years earlier, they had won the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Now, Argentina had a difficult mission. They wanted to win the World Cup again. Winning 1 World Cup is extremely difficult. Winning 2 in a row is even harder. But Argentina continued to survive. As the tournament moved forward, many teams were eliminated. Some favorites went home. Some surprising teams stayed longer than people expected. This is what makes the World Cup so exciting. Before the tournament begins, everyone has predictions. People say, this team will win, or that team will reach the final. But football does not always follow predictions. After many games, only 4 teams remained: Spain, France, Argentina, and England. 4 football powers. For teams, but only 2 places in the final. The first semifinal was Spain against France. The match was played in Dallas. France was a very dangerous opponent. They had reached the final of the previous 2 World Cups. France won the World Cup in 2018 and finished second in 2022. They also had some of the best players in the world. But Spain was ready. Spain played one of their best matches of the tournament. They defended well, controlled important moments of the game, and created opportunities to score. Spain won 2-0. Mikel Oyarzabal scored the first goal from a penalty. Later, Pedro Porro scored the second. France tried to respond, but Spain's defense stayed strong. The final whistle arrived. Spain was going to the World Cup final. Now everyone waited for the second semifinal. Argentina against England. This match was played in Atlanta. It was very different from Spain against France. The game was close and competitive. Both teams knew that one mistake could change everything. Argentina eventually found the advantage they needed. The final score was Argentina 2, England 1. Argentina had done it. For the second World Cup in a row, Argentina was going to the final. Think about how difficult that is. Many great teams never reach a World Cup final. Argentina had reached 2 consecutive finals, and they had already won the first one. Now, they had an opportunity to become world champions again. The final was ready. Spain against Argentina. 2 countries with incredible football traditions. Spain had won the World Cup once before in 2010. Argentina had won the tournament 3 times and was the defending champion. There was another interesting way to look at this final. Spain had recently been one of the strongest teams in European football. Argentina had been one of the strongest teams in South American football. Now they would meet for the biggest prize in international football. But before the final, there was one more game. France and England played for 3rd place. Sometimes, the 3rd place match receives less attention. But this one was unforgettable. England defeated France 6-4. Yes, you heard that correctly. 6-4. 10 goals in one match. It was one of the most entertaining games of the tournament. England finished the World Cup in 3rd place. France finished 4th. Now, let's learn some useful vocabulary from this part of the story. A quarterfinal is the round with 8 teams remaining. A semifinal is the round with 4 teams remaining. A final is the last match of the tournament. The winner of the final becomes the champion. To eliminate a team means to end that team's participation in the competition. A defending champion is the team that won the previous tournament. And a penalty is a special shot taken from the penalty spot after certain fouls. Let's review what happened. Spain continued winning and reached the semifinals. Argentina continued its attempt to defend the World Cup title. Spain defeated France 2-0. Argentina defeated England 2-1. And suddenly, after weeks of football and almost an entire tournament, only 2 teams remained. Spain and Argentina. 1 match, 1 trophy, 1 world champion. In part 3, we will travel to New York and New Jersey for the final. We'll discover what happened during the most important match of the tournament, who scored the winning goal, which players received the biggest individual awards, and which country finally lifted the World Cup trophy. Thank you for listening to Learn and Chat. We're almost at the end of our World Cup journey. I'll see you in part 3. Welcome back to Learn and Chat. We have reached the final part of our journey through the 2026 World Cup. We started with 48 national teams. We traveled through 3 host countries. We saw surprising results, great goals, strong teams, and unforgettable matches. But now, only 2 teams remained, Spain and Argentina. The date was July 19, 2026. The final was played in the New York and New Jersey area. For both teams, this was the most important match of the tournament. Argentina arrived as the defending world champion. They had won the 2022 World Cup in Qatar and now had the opportunity to win the trophy again. Spain had a different dream. They wanted to become world champions for the second time in their history. Spain's first World Cup title came in 2010. 16 years later, they had another opportunity. The atmosphere before the final was incredible. Thousands of fans filled the stadium. Millions more watched around the world. After weeks of competition, everything would be decided in one final match. The game began. Spain tried to control the ball and create opportunities. Argentina defended carefully. Both teams understood the importance of the moment. Nobody wanted to make a mistake. Spain created chances, but Argentina's goalkeeper, Emiliano Martinez, made important saves. The first half ended without a goal, 0-0. Then came the second half. Both teams continued fighting. Spain attacked. Argentina defended and looked for opportunities to score. But after 90 minutes, the score was still 0-0. There was no winner. The World Cup final needed extra time. Extra time is played when an important knockout match is tied after 90 minutes. The players were tired. They had already played a long tournament. But now they needed to continue. One goal could change everything. The tension inside the stadium was enormous. Then came the moment Spain had been waiting for. It was the 106th minute. Pedro Porro sent the ball into the attacking area. Nico Williams helped create the opportunity. And Ferran Torres was ready. He hit the ball. Goal! Spain was leading 1-0. The Spanish fans celebrated. Argentina still had time. They tried to respond. They needed one goal to keep their dream alive. But Spain stayed strong. The minutes passed. Argentina continued looking for an equalizer, but Spain protected the lead. Finally, the referee ended the match. It was over. Spain had won the 2026 FIFA World Cup. For the second time in history, Spain was world champion. Their first title came in South Africa in 2010. Now, 16 years later, they had done it again. Argentina finished in second place after another excellent World Cup. They could not defend their title, but reaching 2 consecutive World Cup finals was still an impressive achievement. England finished third after their incredible 6-4 victory against France. France finished fourth. But the World Cup is not only about teams. Individual players also receive special awards. Rodri was selected as the best player of the tournament and received the Golden Ball. His work in midfield was extremely important for Spain. He helped control games, defend, and connect different parts of the team. Spain's defense was also one of the great stories of the tournament. During 8 matches, Spain allowed only 1 goal. That is an incredible defensive record. Another Spanish player received an important award. Pau Cubarsí was named the best young player of the tournament. He was only 19 years old. Imagine being 19 and becoming one of the best young football players at the biggest tournament in the world. And then there was Kylian Mbappé. France did not reach the final, but Mbappé had an extraordinary tournament. He finished as the top scorer with 10 goals and received the Golden Boot. His goals also helped him reach an important place in World Cup history. Now let's review some useful English vocabulary. A trophy is the prize a team receives after winning a competition. A champion is the winner of a tournament. A runner-up is the team that finishes second. Extra time is the additional playing time used when a knockout match is tied after 90 minutes. An equalizer is a goal that makes the score level. The Golden Ball is awarded to the best player of the tournament, and the Golden Boot is awarded to the top goal scorer. These words are very useful when talking about football competitions. So, what will we remember about the 2026 World Cup? It was the first World Cup hosted by 3 countries: the United States, Mexico, and Canada. It was the first men's World Cup with 48 teams. There were 104 matches. Fans traveled across a huge part of North America. We saw surprising results, exciting knockout games, dramatic semifinals, and a final that needed extra time. And at the end of everything, Spain lifted the trophy. That is what makes the World Cup special. Every 4 years, countries from around the world come together. Different languages, different cultures, different styles of football, but everyone shares the same dream: to become world champion. And for football fans, every World Cup creates new memories. A surprising victory, a beautiful goal, a great save, a young player becoming a star, or a final that people remember for many years. The 2026 World Cup gave us all of those things. And now our journey has come to an end. Thank you for spending these 3 episodes with me. And remember, you are not only learning about football today, you are also practicing English. Every minute you spend listening helps your brain become more familiar with the language. You do not need to understand every word. Keep listening, keep learning, and little by little, English will become easier. Thank you for listening to Learn and Chat. If you enjoyed this episode, join us again for another interesting topic and another opportunity to practice your English. Until next time, keep learning, stay curious, and enjoy the journey. Goodbye.